Adab and hello to everyone. So, I'm here to address a recent case of the Allahabad High Court. It was filed by the Majlis Ulema Hind, and I was the counsel for the petitioner in that matter. Now, the reason why I'm here with this particular video is because the matter pertained to the public portrayal of Ayatollah Khamenei and Ayatollah Sistani in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and the objective of the petition was to make sure that there is no adversity in terms of the freedom of speech and expression and right to freedom of religion when any person in the Uttar Pradesh state is portraying these banners. Media, we have seen that there has been some sort of sensationalization of the issue that was at the helms of affairs, and there have been reports that have stated that the Allahabad High Court has in fact dismissed or rather rejected the plea that was taken by the petitioner. Now, it needs to be outrightly cleared that the matter was not rejected, neither was it dismissed. In fact, what all occurred in the High Court is something that needs to be informed, that's something that needs to be aware of before reaching out to certain conclusions. Because had the matter been dismissed or rejected by the High Court, which would have simply resulted in the fact that there is absolutely no constitutional promise of the person or a denomination portraying the banner or portraying the portrait of Ayatollah Khamenei or similar likewise religious figures. But this did not actually happen. What happened is that there was certain multiple pleas that were taken by us before the High Court, and it was very general in nature because of the urgency that we had. So as you know that the month of Muharram is already here, and the petitioner organization was approached by many that they fear that the police authorities might just remove the banners of Ayatollah Khamenei and religious figures, given the kind of chaos that occurred last year. Because last year we had instances reported in certain districts wherein the banners were removed arbitrarily. Now, because of that, we approached the vacation bench in June and we requested the court to take the matter on an urgent basis and to ensure that the constitutional protection be given to the denomination, especially the Shia community, so that they can, as per the right that they have, can portray the banners of the religious figures. To which the response was in the court of the Home Department, the ministry, that no such action would be taken, and this was an assurance that was given to the High Court. Now, the result of which was that at this point of time, we still have not heard of any banner removal from the police authorities. While the matter was ongoing, we were assured, and that is the reason when the matter took place after the vacation in the general cause list, then the matter was decided on merits. Now, the matter when was taken up in the month of July in the general cause list, it was told to the court that there was an assurance, but still we fear that there might be a certain kind of threat that might just get come into play, and which would result in the removal of the banners of Ayatollah Khamenei and Ayatollah Sistani. Because it was a general petition with a lot of directions that were sought in terms of the authorities to be restricted, and in turn the authorities to direct the local SHOs throughout the Uttar Pradesh to not take such action, the High Court reached to the conclusion that it was not ready to interfere at this stage, and in fact it directed us with the remedy of going for an individual writ if and in any case any such instance is reported in any of the region of Uttar Pradesh. And that is the reason when you read the High Court order, in the last portions you'd find that it clearly says that any such remedy can be adopted which is accorded by the law against the police officers who, if are doing any sort of arbitrary action as has been alleged in the petition at hand. So that is the reason we see that the High Court also disposed the matter and not dismissed the matter, making it very clear that the Article 19(1)(a), which is the freedom of speech and expression, as well as the Article 25, which guarantees the right to freedom of religion, be secured to the Shia community denomination and to the denomination that celebrates the likewise or exercises the likewise practices of portraying the religious figures. And in a way, it gave the scope to the people so that any such instance, if is recorded, can be referred through this particular order, and action can be taken in an individual writ petition before the High Court after the documentation is done. So the purpose of the petition was to ensure that no such adversity is inflicted upon the community members or upon the people who are exercising the very constitutionally backed fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a) and Article 25. And that is why no such removal or arbitrary sort of action was taken by the police authorities, as I told that the assurance was there. Now, what needs to be understood is that because there is a kind of misconception that is going on, that the High Court has denied the relief to the petition, and that is the reason now the banners cannot be publicly displayed, and if it's to be displayed, the permission has to be taken. It is absolutely not true, and it needs to be clarified right here and right now that any constitutionally backed right cannot be interfered with by the policemen. And in case any such action is taken by the police wherein it says that why are you putting this particular religious figures a banner or of that of Ayatollah Khamenei and Ayatollah Sistani, and in case any such arbitrary action is taken by the police wherein it is brought on record and through documentation that the police authorities removed or tried to remove the banners of Ayatollah Khamenei or Ayatollah Sistani during the months of Muharram and Chahlam, then the appropriate remedy is very well directed and suggested by the High Court itself. So actually what was portrayed in the High Court order was merely the touching upon of the issue that was at hand, and which was that the general orders or circulars cannot be allowed at this stage. But it does not mean that the constitutional right that is guaranteed under the fundamental rights are not there. And you all know that especially for the Shia community, there is the concept of marja-e-taqleed, which means it has the very high regard and stature for these religious figures such as Ayatollah Khamenei and Ayatollah Sistani. It is almost synonymous to the Pope of Christianity and Shankaracharya of Hinduism for that matter. So there is absolutely no need of any sort of panic in the community that is being circulated by a certain share of people. Rather, it is more of a step that has been taken to ensure that anything and everything which is constitutionally backed has to be brought on record and has to be taken on face. So the current situation or the current law or the current position of law is that no one can remove the religious figures, portraits or banners, especially that of Ayatollah Khamenei and Ayatollah Sistani, especially in these months of Muharram and Chahlam, and when these banners are portrayed in the private properties. That is important. So this is something which is absolutely protected by the constitution, but this needed to be clarified, and that is the reason we see that even in the coming times that there would be people who would be approaching the High Court seeking the remedy in the individual nature and making sure that the constitutionally protected right is there to be exercised. And it's also a way forward. It also gives us the way forward as to in what manner these things can be documented. So that's it for now, and I think it would make it very clear that for a person who is celebrating these religious figures, the world has seen the kind of effort and the kind of bravery and the kind of the stance that they took against the imperialist or against the power that are supposedly advanced and developed, which is something to be admired of, and not just for the Shia community, rather for several communities, for all sorts of people beyond religion, people beyond the caste lines have admitted the fact that the kind of bravery that was shown by Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran, and that is the reason people would simply exercise the freedom of speech and expression in order to commemorate, in order to celebrate the kind of glory that he has handed over to his followers. So that is it for today, and I hope that the matter is a lot more cleared in terms of the current position of law, what is there as to whether the banners can be placed or the banners cannot be placed. It is very clear that the banners can be placed. In fact, it is very well protected by the constitutional law of India, and specifically in the instances where the police or anyone for that matter, if is at all removing arbitrarily any banner which is related to religious figures, that cannot be allowed, and the person can simply approach the court of law in accordance with the law. So thank you so much, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.